Yeah, I like that woman. I feel like we'll get along real good. I was just saying that shit. I say, bro, if I see her in the lobby room, I'm gonna kiss her right in her mouth. I'm gonna kiss the fuck out of her.
If there's one thing we've learned, it's that anything that can go wrong probably will, especially if Kodak Black is involved. Imagine bringing someone over for a chill live stream, but instead of sharing laughs, they end up making your house resemble a chaotic reality TV show. Yeah, that's pretty much how things go when Cenat invites some special guests. Kodak decided to make a surprise appearance during Kai's Mafia-thon, which, to be honest, was already teetering on the edge of madness. Kodak waltzed in like he was going to be the life of the party. At first, it was all smiles. Kodak gawking at Kai's room like he'd never seen a bedroom before, which, let's be real, might have been the case given the state he was in. The more Kodak hung around though, the more apparent it became that something was off. And by off, I mean the guy was starting to spiral on camera.
Hey, hold on, go, just stay on YouTube and put it on versatile food. I want new shit, or I just drop.
Go ahead.
Then I'm gonna drop again on 11 level. I just wanna keep dropping, I'm gonna stay dropping music. Fuck that. I'm gonna keep dropping. I'm gonna just keep making music.
Kodak tried to vibe, tried to keep it cool, but before you knew it, he was swaying like a badly rigged sailboat in a storm. Kai, ever the optimist, kept it rolling, though you could see him giving those silent, pleading looks at the camera, like, can someone tell me why this dude is malfunctioning? It reached peak awkwardness when Kodak casually popped a pill mid-stream. Kai had to abruptly cut the feed, trying to play it off like it was just another Tuesday. Spoiler, it wasn't. The chat lost it, W's flooded in, which, in hindsight, might have stood for what the actual, but Kodak wasn't done. He hopped back on live later to defend his actions, essentially saying everyone was making a big deal out of nothing. He claimed people were just haters, blowing his behavior out of proportion. I mean, sure, Kodak, because there's absolutely nothing odd about getting stoned out of your mind on a stream in front of thousands. Moving on from Kodak's mayhem, you might think things couldn't get more bizarre, but then came DDG and Quavo. They joined Mafia-thon too, and at first, it seemed like a chill hangout. That illusion was shattered once DDG and Quavo had their little face-off. It began innocently enough, a missed handshake, a misunderstanding, you know, the small things that insecure egos blow into massive issues. Quavo took offense, turned the vibes sour, and Kai's eyes practically screamed, "Not again." Quavo went as far as to push DDG off the couch, all while Kai tried to keep things civil. Spoiler, he failed.
Like, it's always good to be like spaced out.
Go ahead and stand over there.
Like, why would I stand over there?
Because you're too close.
Huh?
Because you're too close. You say you're too close.
Why would I stand over there though?
I feel like people
Where
are
you gonna stand if you're too close?
You confused?
Where you gonna go if you're too close?
He can sit like on the steps, he can sit in the back.
I try to break it down.
Let me get one of those.
Where you gonna go if you're too close?
Yo, you guys get the game?
DDG later claimed there was no beef and that Quavo was just too wasted to keep it together. Apparently, it was all jokes, or so they said when the internet had them in its grip. Either way, keeping it together wasn't on the agenda that day, that's for sure. Then, of course, we had Kai's ongoing saga with Zoe Spencer, which has been its own on-again, off-again nightmare. Zoe went from flirting with Kai to absolutely screaming at him for not taking their relationship seriously. During one particularly heated argument, she actually told Kai to shut up repeatedly, and he, probably regretting every decision that led him to that point, just sat there and took it. If you're wondering, yes, it got physical. And yes, Kai once again had to figure out how to salvage the situation live, with thousands of people spectating the collapse of whatever semblance of order he once had.
I'm being for real. Not that ass.
Alright, so when you free? I'm free. My schedule is, it's open.
Oh, listen.
Ow, Kai, that hurts.
I'm being for real.
Okay.
I feel like our personalities are pretty great. I feel like you're a good person. I feel like I'm a good person.
Yeah, I think so too. We mesh, like we're like twins. We're the same sign and shit.
And we can't forget FauciTube, because apparently, one meltdown wasn't enough. Alright, let's dive into the never-ending saga of FauciTube, because apparently, one breakdown simply wasn't enough for him. Picture this, Fauci, caught in one of his infamous meltdowns, having a chat with Cenat. It's not just any chat, it's a train wreck that you can't look away from, the kind where you're munching popcorn, completely unsure if this is genius-level performance art, or just someone coming apart at the seams. We start off with Fusi dropping the N-word like it's nothing. Yeah, just just casually sprinkling it in there, like he's trying to spice up an otherwise bland conversation. You could almost see Kai's face trying to maintain composure. I mean, the guy is a pro, right? But there's only so much you can do when someone is doing their absolute best to ruin not just their own career, but yours as well, by association. If cringeworthy had a face, it would have been Fousey's at that moment. And if that wasn't bad enough, Fousey goes on to declare himself as one of the top 3 streamers. Yeah, you read that right, top 3. And who's at number 1? Kai, obviously. Because who doesn't love a good ego boost mixed with a side of gaslighting? Kai's there, trying to stay respectful, but you could almost hear the internal sigh. Fousey's practically begging for validation at this point, and somehow decides that dragging Kai into his delusions of grandeur is a good idea. But it gets better. Kai, clearly fed up with the nonsense, tells Fousey to chill. It was a gentle suggestion, basically a professional, dude, dial it back. And what does our guy Fousey do? He flips out on his own crew, full-blown dictator mode. Imagine yelling at people who are trying to help you, as if they're the ones that told you to go embarrass yourself on live stream. It's like watching someone throw a tantrum because the mirror didn't flatter them enough.
Kai, I swear to God, I invested every dollar I've made. I've made $350,000 every single month since I've been back. I've been live for 5 months. Every single dollar I put back into this album. I'm about to be a star. God did! God did! G7 president's here in Sydney, and I'm about to it up. And if any of you send me to jail or a psych ward, I swear to God, I'll be the one to pull it.
Fousey, relax, bruh.
You could see the discomfort in everyone else in the room. The crew is doing what they can to keep the ship from sinking, but Fousey's just there, drilling holes in the bottom and acting like everyone else is to blame for the water coming in. It's almost funny if it weren't so painfully awkward. A grown man throwing a fit while everyone else just tries to save face. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more uncomfortable, Fousey decides to up the ante. Apparently, in the middle of this chaotic spiral, he figures there's only one logical next step, taking off his clothes, right there, on camera. Was he trying to prove a point? Was there some deeper meaning? Honestly, who knows? But it felt like a desperate attempt to keep the spotlight on him, no matter how unhinged the method. And there's Kai, trying to steer this whole thing away from complete disaster. He's scrambling, trying to salvage whatever is left of the live stream, because he knows the kind of repercussions that could come from letting it play out unfiltered. Getting banned was probably the least of his worries at that point. Imagine being the guy tasked with damage control for a full-grown man going through his public meltdown. That's Kai. Hats off to him for even trying. The funniest thing about all of this is just how utterly unaware Fousey seemed. He honestly looked like he thought he was having some sort of deep spiritual awakening, while everyone else around him was just drowning in secondhand embarrassment. I guess there's a thin line between inspiring influencer and completely off your rocker, and Fousey was walking that line like it was a tightrope over a canyon. To give a bit of context, FouseyTube, aka Yusef Erekat, is no stranger to meltdowns. This isn't his first rodeo when it comes to public disasters. In fact, it seems like every few years, he resurfaces with a new saga that's part self-destruction, part plea for relevance. He's got this strange ability to turn what could be a comeback into a full-blown circus, complete with car crashes and all. And for some reason, the audience, whether it's people hoping for the best or just there for the train wreck, keeps showing up.
Anything Kai says.
Alright.
Done.
Alright. Look, Fousey. Okay? Look, bruh.
One of the most notable moments in Fousey's history is the infamous July 15th, 2018 event, where he promised something huge but delivered, well, chaos and disappointment. There's a pattern here. Big talk, big promises, and then, inevitably, big letdowns. It's like he thrives on the drama, but doesn't quite understand that the kind of drama he's creating isn't a good look for anyone, let alone someone who wants to be seen as inspirational. Back to our current timeline. This meltdown with Kai wasn't just some random lapse in judgment. It's part of a long-running series of incidents that make you wonder what's really going on in Fousey's mind. Is it insecurity? Is it the desire to be seen as a top dog in the streaming world without putting in the consistent work that comes with that title? Or is it just some deep-seated need for attention that overrides any sense of rational behavior? What's baffling is how he's seemingly surrounded by people who genuinely want to help, yet he keeps pushing them away. The crew, Kai, even fans, they're all rooting for him to just get his act together. Instead, he chooses the self-sacrifice sabotage route, pulling stunts that make you wonder if he even cares about the fallout. It's not bravery, it's recklessness. And maybe that's why people keep watching. It's that morbid curiosity of wondering just how far he'll go before he hits rock bottom. But let's talk about Kai for a moment. Imagine being one of the biggest streamers with a solid reputation, only to have someone drag you into their public implosion. Kai didn't sign up for this. He was just trying to be a supportive fellow streamer. Instead, he got thrown into a situation that could have easily ended in platform bans or worse. Kai's professionalism is honestly commendable. He handled the situation as best as anyone could. He tried to steer things back on track, keep things PG, and ultimately tried to prevent his stream from becoming a complete dumpster fire. If there's a takeaway from all of this, it's probably that some people just can't handle the spotlight, no matter how much they think they deserve it. Fousey's got this complicated relationship with fame. He wants it, but it's almost like he doesn't want to do the work that's necessary to maintain it in a healthy way. Instead of building something meaningful, he defaults to spectacle. And the sad part is, spectacles don't last. They burn bright, then they fizzle out, leaving nothing but the memory of something that could have been great. In a world where internet personalities are dime a dozen, staying relevant takes more than shock value. Kai understands this. He's built his platform on genuine connections, quality content, and a likable personality. Fousey, on the other hand, seems to be stuck in this cycle of trying to prove something that nobody asked for in the first place. And maybe that's the difference. One is about creating, the other is about proving. And proving yourself to an audience that just wants to be entertained is a losing battle. But if you thought Fousey's meltdown was the end, you obviously haven't been paying attention. He came back stronger, and by stronger, I mean he went full throttle manic. An hour later, he streamed himself in the throes of what can only be described as a complete mental unraveling, leading to a well-deserved ban. Of course, nothing sticks for long, and a week later, Fousey was back like nothing happened. Classic. Even Kai himself couldn't avoid the madness. During his time in a U-Haul truck, because yes, that's where he was streaming from after getting booted from his apartment, he invited over Ice Spice and Ray. Things went south with Ray when he decided to pop Kai's inflatable bed and basically turn Kai's temporary truck home into a disaster zone. The handbrake failed soon after, and Kai's streaming truck started rolling away while he was live. Absolute chaos. One guest we can't overlook is Chrysian Rock. On November 21st, 2022, Kai Cenat, one of the hottest streamers on Twitch, decided to bring rapper Blueface and his girlfriend, Chrysian Rock, onto his live stream. Sounds like a fun time, right? Well, it sure didn't end that way. What was meant to be an entertaining hangout quickly spiraled into a full-blown fiasco, mostly thanks to Chrysian's wild behavior. Things kicked off just fine, with everyone chatting and having a good time, but soon enough, things started to get awkward. Chrysian decided she was in charge, yanking Kai out of his own chair so Blueface could take a seat. It was a move that left Kai and his viewers feeling pretty uneasy, like this was his stream, in his space, and she was already pushing boundaries. But that was just the beginning. Chrysian, clearly not interested in taking a backseat, picked up one of Kai's friends and literally body slammed him onto a couch. You know, just for fun. Except it wasn't all that fun for anyone else. It was one of those moments where you could almost hear the collective "what the" from everyone watching.
Chrysian Rock and Blueface came on stream, and I was like, yeah, let me just do it. I'm gonna do it on some Jerry Springer therapy. You feel what I'm saying? Chrysian was actually shy at first. He was actually shy. Hella cool, hella cool. Then they had the liquor, so they were tipping the Henny and we're just having a blast. We're having fun, and then she's like, oh, wait, we need a seat for him. We need a seat. Let's get a seat for him. And like gets a chair, walks over, and then like sees that he has a seat and says, oh, we don't need this chair. Like, this chair.
And threw it into the wall, right?
Yeah. I'm looking at the wall. It's a big ass hole. So I'm like, yo, you just put a hole in my wall.
Yeah.
Uzi had called me that night. He said, bro, she threw a chair in your wall?
And then the real chaos happened. Out of nowhere, Chrysian grabbed a chair and hurled it across the room, completely unprovoked. There was a loud bang off camera, and Kai, understandably freaked out, yelled, "You just put a hole in my wall?" Chrysian's response? She laughed and said, "You rich, you can fix it." Like, seriously? The complete disregard was on full display. The fact that she didn't care at all about the damage just made it even more disrespectful. Blueface, ever the supportive boyfriend, chimed in with, "Why you do that to Kai's Airbnb?" As if it wasn't a big deal because it might have been a rental. Kai quickly corrected him, saying, Airbnb and B. This is my house. This my house. Yeah, that was no rental. And Kai was definitely feeling the sting of having his own home trashed on a live stream. Naturally, people watching the stream had a lot to say about Chrysian's behavior. The general consensus? Mad disrespectful. Viewers were calling out how she lacked any kind of manners, especially as a guest in someone else's home. And let's be real, it's not like this was her first time causing trouble. Some folks pointed pointed out that she and Blueface had pulled similar stunts during another stream with Adin Ross. Seems like they've got a bit of a pattern going. To add even more drama to the mix, all this happened just days after Blueface got out of jail. He'd been arrested on attempted murder charges in Las Vegas and had only just been released on $50,000 bail. The timing of all this chaos couldn't have been worse, or, depending on how you look at it, more on brand for the kind of madness they seem to bring wherever they go. Kai's usually known for hosting big names on his streams, people like 21 Savage, NLE Choppa, Lil Baby, and there had never been anything quite like this. Sure, things get rowdy, but nothing on the level of Kreishen's full-blown, no-holds-barred disrespect. This was a first, and it wasn't exactly a milestone anyone wanted. After the dust settled, there were a lot of conversations about what went down. People were debating who was really responsible here. Was it on Kai to keep things under control, or on the guests to not completely lose their minds? A lot of viewers agreed that, at the very least, some basic respect for personal property and common courtesy wouldn't have been too much to ask. It was a wake-up call for anyone streaming. Even when you're trying to have a good time, things can get real messy, real fast. And let's not leave out Speed. When Kai and Speed linked up for that Minecraft marathon, it was supposed to be about building virtual worlds, not tearing each other apart in real life. But the stress of cohabiting led to arguments over something as mundane as an open window. What started as a petty disagreement quickly escalated to them squaring up and throwing hands on stream. It took a while, but eventually they calmed down enough to remember they were supposed to be entertaining viewers, not scaring them.
Don't drop the soap, nigga. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Oh, I need to do that. Yo!
If you thought the worst was over, let's flash forward to the infamous Marshmallow stream. Ty and Dez, old friends from Kai's early YouTube days, ended up getting physical. It started innocently, with Ty wearing Marshmallow's helmet, but soon enough, Dez decided it was the perfect time to teach him a lesson for taking his chair. What followed was a wrestling match that had Kai facepalming in the corner, realizing that he could probably never host anything that wouldn't eventually devolve into utter anarchy. Cenat is known for his unpredictable live streams, but lately, it feels like things have been getting a little too out of hand, almost as if every guest he brings on has their own personal agenda to completely derail the show. From rappers going off script to giveaways that turned into urban mayhem, Cenat's streams are becoming a roller coaster where nobody knows if it'll be fun or if someone's getting thrown off. And then there was the whole DDG and Quavo drama during Mafiathon 2. Things were chill until someone went for a handshake and missed. Simple mistake, right? Not if you're Quavo. He wasn't having it. The mood shifted instantly, and before anyone could figure out what was happening, Quavo shoved DDG right off the couch. The whole thing was caught on camera, and it was painfully clear that this wasn't staged or planned. Kai tried playing peacemaker, stepping between them, but it was too late. The vibe was ruined, and the tension in the room was palpable. The stream went from hanging out to something that looked more like a reality show fight scene, and not in a fun way. You could see Kai's frustration. This wasn't the kind of content he wanted to create, but once it starts spiraling, there's no way to put the genie back in the bottle. Let's not forget about Zoe Spencer. Zoe's appearances on Kai's streams are always explosive, but this time, things really hit the fan. They got into a heated argument, and it was just a matter of minutes before Zoe snapped, repeatedly telling Kai to shut up. The disrespect was off the charts, and the chat was lighting up with people either egging it on or expressing secondhand embarrassment. Tensions escalated, and they ended up getting physical, Kai trying to calm things down on live video, all while Zoe was visibly agitated. It was clear that this wasn't just for show. Watching it unfold left viewers feeling awkward more than anything else. Not exactly the content anyone signed up for. Kai's frustration was evident, and you could see the exhaustion on his face. He's become almost used to these kinds of incidents, but that doesn't mean it's any easier to handle. And then there's FouseyTube, who's pretty much a wild card wherever he goes. What started as a typical live stream, just hanging out, chatting, keeping it light, went completely sideways when Fousey decided it was the perfect time to start dropping offensive remarks and declare himself one of the top 3 streamers. He even tried to expose himself, yes, literally, which forced Kai to jump in and keep things from getting X-rated. The shock on Kai's face said it all. Even after that fiasco, Fousey didn't tone it down. His next streams just got more erratic until Twitch stepped in with a temporary ban, probably saving him from himself. There's a fine line between entertaining and downright disturbing, and Fousey had sprinted past it. Kai's hands were tied. What are you supposed to do when your guest decides to self-destruct live on your channel. Then we had the Ice Spice and Ray debacle. Picture this: Kai, fresh off being evicted, streaming from a U-Haul truck because, well, why not? It was a makeshift studio, cramped, uncomfortable, but it was working, sort of. Ice Spice and Ray roll in, and things go from weird to worse real fast. Ray, in all his wisdom, decided to jump on Kai's inflatable bed, which was basically his only piece of furniture in the truck. Of course, it popped. Kai's face was a mix of disbelief and annoyance. This was his bed, his only spot to sleep, and now it was just a deflated mess on the truck floor. And to top it off, the truck itself started rolling away midstream because the handbrake failed. The chaos was almost cartoonish, but at the same time, you could sense Kai's exhaustion. Just complete chaos. But hey, that's kind of what you expect at this point, right? The absurdity of it all. Streaming from a U-Haul, guests breaking his stuff, the truck rolling. It's all part of the bizarre reality Kai seems to live in. Kreischoen Rock and Blueface's visit is probably one of the most infamous. Everything was fine, everyone was having a good time, until Kreischoen, for whatever reason, decided to chuck a chair straight into Kai's wall. There was this moment of stunned silence. You could see the shock on Kai's face, and then the frustration set in. When he tried to ask her what she was doing, her response, "You rich? You can fix it." The sheer nonchalance of it was almost impressive. Kai looked like he couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. It's one thing to have guests over, but it's another to have them redecorate with flying furniture. The chat exploded with comments. Some people were amused, others were genuinely horrified. It was one of those moments that summed up the unpredictability of Kai's streams. 1 second everything's cool, the next there's a chair embedded in the wall. There was also that Minecraft stream with iShow speed that went downhill for the most mundane reason. They were supposed to be building stuff in the game, collaborating, having a good time, but instead they got into a legit argument over an open window. The disagreement escalated so quickly, turning into a real-life wrestling match right there in front of everyone watching. It was bizarre, almost surreal. Two grown men, supposed to be playing Minecraft, instead rolling around on the floor over something as trivial as a window. They eventually cooled off, but not before treating viewers to a solid few minutes of "is this really happening right now?" It was moments like these that made Kai's streams must watch, but also left you wondering how close they were to completely falling apart. And how could we forget Ty and Dez's little scuffle? What started off as a goofy, light-hearted stream turned ugly when Dez didn't take kindly to Ty wearing Marshmallow's helmet and sitting in his chair. It was all in good fun until it wasn't. The mood shifted, and the two ended up wrestling on the floor while Kai stood by, completely done with the situation. You could see it in his expression, the exhaustion, the frustration, the feeling of being caught in the middle of yet another chaotic mess. It's like the guy's streams are a magnet for chaos. Every guest seems to bring a different kind of disaster. It's entertaining, sure, but at what cost? The unpredictability is part of the allure, but it's also what makes it so draining for Kai. He's the one left picking up the pieces when the dust settles. Then there's the infamous Union Square giveaway. Kai thought it'd be a great idea to hand out PlayStation 5s and some other cool tech to his fans. It sounded like an awesome plan, a way to give back, to connect with his audience. But what he didn't anticipate was just how many people would show up. Thousands of fans descended on Union Square, and what was supposed to be a fun event quickly turned into pure pandemonium. People were pushing, shoving, climbing on cars. It was chaos. The police had to step in, and things got so out of hand that Kai ended up getting cuffed for inciting a riot. You could see the shock on his face as he was led away. This was supposed to be a positive moment, and instead, it turned into a disaster. Maybe next time, a little planning wouldn't hurt. The whole thing was a harsh reminder of just how quickly things can spiral out of control when you're dealing with that many people. Think all this chaos could have been avoided, or is it just part of the fun? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.